CNN continues to go further to the right after their new CEO had taken over. That's Chris Licht. The most recent example, after firing several more of their anti-Trump personalities, they decided to hire a former police official who was caught lying about the department, the New York Police Department, illegally spying on Muslim Americans. So now Licht, CNN's new chairman and CEO, recently said in a press release that he was hiring John Miller, a former New York City Police Department official, to be its chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst. He said John will help deliver on CNN's commitment to tackle complex issues while presenting audiences with independent, objective news and meaningful analysis across platforms. As both a brilliant journalist and experienced, compelling subject matter expert, he brings to the network an incredible breadth of knowledge. Well, unless, of course, he's talking about Muslims, which he will, of course, lie about and consider them all to be terrorists. Look, he was testifying before the New York City Council back in March. During that testimony, Miller denied that the NYPD had ever inappropriately spied on Muslims. Well, again, that's a lie because the department had acknowledged that it had inappropriately spied on Muslims. Now, this was the post-9/11 Muslim surveillance programs where they, again, literally spied on American citizens that happened to be Muslim. Now, while running the program, which was exposed in 2011 by a real journalist, in a 2011 Pulitzer Prize-winning Associated Press report, the NYPD had used census data to spy in on Muslim Americans in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, placing undercover informants in predominantly Muslim communities. The informants took pictures and videos of mosque-goers, recorded the license plate numbers of worshippers, chatted with Muslim business owners, hung out in hookah bars, which sounds fun, and reported everything back to the NYPD. So for all of that, what did they find? Did they foil any possible terror attacks? Well, the answer is no, a flat out no. Again, these are American citizens, and so they found absolutely nothing. In fact, the program did not produce a single lead to any terrorist plot. So what you did is that you violated these people's privacy, their freedom to worship, their First Amendment rights, profiled them based on their religion and ethnicity for literally no reason, just because you're afraid of Muslims. And then you come out and lie about it, about that program existing. Oh, we didn't inappropriately spy in on Muslims. No. Oh, you know what? I get it. To him, it wasn't inappropriate because they're Muslims. It was totally appropriate, and we had to spy in on them. So let me ask you, is that the kind of objective, meaningful analysis this guy's going to bring to CNN? I thought facts were supposed to matter at CNN. No, not under Licht. Again, this guy is a known liar and an Islamophobe, and yet Licht said, oh, you hate Muslims? And you are willing to lie to the American people? Welcome aboard. No, it's disgusting. Now, members of the Muslim community, of course, have spoken out. First one is Shahana Hanif, the first female Muslim member of the New York City Council, talking to HuffPost, said this: for him to be able to take on a position that will give him a broader impact to an outlet that many of us trust is just another reminder of just how Muslims in our city are treated. I hope that CNN is watching the kind of backlash and the response to this hiring, and they should take very seriously the voices of the Muslim community because we are viewers too. We too want objective news. News outlets, this is according to Naz Ahmad, who is the acting director of the Creating Law Enforcement Accountability and Responsibility Project at the University of New York School of Law, saying, quote, news outlets need to remember and call out the NYPD's actions and the damaging effect they had on Muslim Americans. The unwillingness to reflect upon the outcomes of what you have done and to not see that as a problem, I think that suggests that maybe somebody's going to have trouble being objective. At the very least, don't deny that it happened. Total gaslighting. by this guy. Saying, oh, no, it didn't happen. We never spied on Muslims. Not inappropriately, at least. No, it happened. NYPD literally admitted it. And still, this guy's going to go on and give his expert legal opinion. Gross. Ahmed Mohammed, the legal director of the New York chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, said he questions whether Miller can be credible for a major news network. Quote, he had a major role in destroying the lives of Muslims in New York City, leading the unconstitutional surveillance program. He shouldn't have a similar role at CNN, further stigmatizing and marginalizing Muslims. I agree with that. They need to get rid of this guy immediately. Now, unfortunately, Chris Licht probably is not going to, because this is a trend. In a recent piece in Media Matters, they noted that the recent firings of John Harwood and Brian Stelter are sending a message that too much criticism of the right may cost you your job. Now, who happens to be generally in the right wing? Well, people who don't like Muslims. For one, that happens to be a major right-wing position. And so, who is, again, taking over on CNN, right-wingers. And look, here's the thing. You want to be a conservative network, you want to have a conservative viewpoint, I don't have a problem with that. But what I have a problem with is the false equivalency. Look, to the new owner of CNN, being nonpartisan, being objective, and being balanced, this means not criticizing Republicans. That's really it. They went after Breonna Taylor for criticizing Republicans. They went after Brian Stelter for criticizing Republicans, especially Trump. And by the way, Licht also reportedly instructed staff to stop using the term big lie to refer to the claims about the 2020 election, saying that it was too close to Democrats' branding. But wait a minute. It was a lie. There was no mass voter fraud. There wasn't a rigged and stolen election. So it's not the Democrats' branding. It's a fact. That's not an example of being nonpartisan or balanced. No, that's basically saying, oh, we can't criticize the right wing, our beloved Republicans who still believe in election denials. No, if there's corruption, if there's hypocrisy, if there's an issue, and it doesn't matter if it's on the left or right, you should report it because it's news. And let me tell you, I know Republicans lie, and I know Democrats, corporate Democrats lie as well. Both have had issues with corruption. Both have done self-dealing. But at this point, understand that there's not really a balance here. There's not really both sides do it equally. No, one side clearly is against our own system of government. The Republican Party, 2/3 of them do not believe that the president of the United States was legitimately elected. Despite, again, numerous cases, recounts, and even Trump-appointed judges saying, we cannot find mass voter fraud. There's nothing to it. Yes, it was a legitimate win by Joe Biden. 2/3 of Republicans say, nope, don't believe it. 61% of Republicans would vote for Trump, again, even if it was found to be a criminal, even if he was indicted over taking home classified material. Nearly 1/3 of Republicans believe it might be a time for violence against the government. Do we see any Democrats talking about that? No. No. These two sides are not even. This is an incredibly uneven political landscape where, again, you have one side, one political party that represents insurrectionists. This is not even. And yet, if you talk about that on CNN, you could lose your job. You want to talk about cancel culture? That's cancel culture. No, facts, talking about facts, putting out actual real information should not cost you your job. You know why? Because your job is supposed to be facts. To be objective is to report reality without fear or favor to either side. You should be able to call out Republicans and Democrats if they do the wrong thing. But see, this is the problem, right? Licht, of course, has a bias. he wants to make a lot of money. He wants to court the conservative audience. He wants to be another Fox News. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. And so, look, we've already got one Fox News. Don't really need another. Really don't. Okay, so now look. There is one thing that CNN could actually do to try to, I don't know, get more ratings. Actually get people to watch. And that is to do their job. Call out corruption from both sides. Real corruption. Look, corporate Republicans and Democrats take money from large corporations. They generally do their bidding. If you call them out, well, you're going to get people that are interested in watching that. You'll be like, oh, wow, it turns out we do have corruption and you're doing real reporting. But they don't do that. Why is that? Well, because a lot of the money going to mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, comes from political campaigns buying ads on their network. It's a $1 billion industry. They make a ton of money during election season running those ads. You think they're going to call out money in politics? That's where the real corruption is. Money in politics. They're never going to call it out because they make so much money off of it. And so I guess what they're doing now, since younger people are not tuning into mainstream cable TV anymore, they're creating this false balance. And they're catering to the right wing. It's a disaster. You're not going to out Fox. You're not going to be Fox News. You're not going to get those viewers, which are overwhelmingly elderly, honestly. Fox viewers are what? Average age of 79? You're not going to get those people to go over to CNN. No matter what you do, they're still going to hate you. But in the meantime, what you're doing is dangerous because you are legitimizing dangerous ideas from an extreme party. Again, a pro-insurrectionist party. We're not having discussions about, I think marginal tax rates should be a little higher, a little bit lower. No, that's not the conversation we're having. Conversation is about, should we overthrow the government? That is not a conversation we need to be having. And that needs to be legitimized. Or even, again, going back to this guy, whether or not it's good to spy in on Muslims who have done nothing wrong just because they're Muslims. No. Legitimizing horrible views just in order to make money. CNN should be absolutely ashamed of itself. But unfortunately, right now, they're not.